Welcome to Tech Commons Tips and Tricks with the Learning Technologies Group, offered through the UCSF Library. Let's get started. In this video, we are going to grade a CLE quiz, or the final exam in our course. Just a reminder that the CLE uses the term quiz for the activity, but do not be mistaken. The quiz activity is a robust online assessment tool that can be used for self-evaluations, tests, exams, midterms, and finals. This video is the third and final in a three-part series on the quiz activity. In the first video, we added a quiz to our CLE course and configured quiz settings for our final exam. In video 2, we continued the quiz-making process by creating a quiz question and adding it to our final exam. This video is roughly 12 minutes long. Let's pick up where we left off in video 2. I will begin grading once the quiz has closed on May 20th at 2 p.m. and after all students have submitted their attempts. From the front page of the CLE course, scroll to week 10 and click the final exam link. In the administration block under Quiz Administration, click Results. Just a heads up that your personal workflow for grading CLE quizzes may be different from what you see in this video, and that is okay. For this video, let's start at the top of the list and move down. Notice that the Results section expands after we click on it to display grades, responses, statistics, and manual grading. Let's start by clicking Grades to view the grades report. We can jump down the page to see information about student attempts, such as whether they finished, when they started, when they completed, how long the attempt took, and their total grade for the quiz and individual question grades. Notice the total grades are not yet graded because the final exam contains an essay question that still needs to be manually graded. Let's take a quick look around the grades report page. From the top of the page, we can use the Attempts From dropdown to filter the grade attempts we see on this page. I want to see all students in the class, even if a student did not attempt the final exam. So I will choose to view attempts from enrolled users who have or have not attempted the quiz. I will leave the other settings at the defaults for now, but could change this at any time to continue to filter attempts. From the Display Options section, choose how many student attempts to display per page when manually grading. This is particularly helpful for large classes with many students. You can also choose to view or hide individual questions in the grades report shown below. If you hide points for each question by changing this setting to No, you will only see the student's total grade in the grades report. Let's leave it at the default setting Yes to include the questions and the total grade in the report. If you have made changes on this page, click the Show Report button to view the changes below. We are going to skip the Regrade All and Dry Run a Full Regrade buttons for now, but we'll return to these in just a moment. Now that I have configured the grades report, we can review how students did on the final exam. Let's start with Michael Test Student. In the grades report, we can see that Michael started the final exam on May 20th at 12:48 p.m., finished at 12:50 p.m., and we can see how long it took Michael to complete the quiz. We can click the Review Attempt link in the first column to review Michael's attempt and view analytics for each individual question. We can see that Michael answered questions 1, 3, 6, 7, 8, and 9 correctly, answered question 4 partially correct, answered question 5 incorrectly, and because question 2 is an essay question, we need to manually grade the question. Notice that we do not see Michael's total grade for the final exam because we still need to grade the one essay question. We can also see overall averages for the final exam and individual questions in the bottom row of the grades report. If we want to download the grades report as an Excel spreadsheet or other formats, such as a CSV file, select the format you want to download from the drop-down menu and click the Download button. The table data will begin to download to your desktop or Downloads folder. This is helpful for offline grading and for backing up student grades. If we needed to delete a student's attempt because they experienced internet or computer problems during the final exam, we can select the checkbox next to their name and click the Delete Selected Attempts button. We can also set up a user override to provide a student with a second attempt, which we will demonstrate in a future video. Let's return to the administration block and under Quiz Administration, click Responses to see the answers students submitted. We can filter our view of the responses report the same way we did on the grades report. I will again choose to view attempts from enrolled users who have or have not attempted the quiz, and will leave the other settings at the default. Like the grades report, I can also download the student responses in the Excel format as a backup. In the responses report, we can see the answers students submitted for each question and whether they answered them correctly or incorrectly. There are a number of ways to manually grade essay questions in a CLE quiz, but we will get there by returning to the administration block, and from under the quiz administration section, click Manual Grading. If our final exam did not contain an essay question, the CLE would automatically grade all questions and would report these grades to the gradebook, doing the work for us. Any CLE quiz that contains an essay question requires that the question be manually graded before calculating a final quiz grade for students. We can see questions that need to be graded on the manual grading page. We can also manually override grades that were graded automatically by the CLE, such as a multiple choice question, for example, by clicking the Also Show Questions that have been graded automatically link. There is one essay question in the quiz, and 5 students attempted the final exam, so we have 5 essay questions that we need to grade. To grade student responses, click the Grade link in the first column. Before we start grading the essay questions, we can configure what attempts to grade, how many questions and responses to display per page, and the order of questions. Because there are under 10 students in the class, I will leave these at the default settings. These settings are helpful when grading a quiz that has been attempted by a large number of students. Remember to click the Change Options button to display any changes you have made. Moving down the page, we see all 5 students' responses to the essay question. We can see the student's name, the question text, and the response each student submitted. We can grade the responses, entering 1 for correct answers and 0 for an incorrect answer. We can also enter comments for students that they will see since we configured review options to allow students to review specific feedback after the final has closed. After grading the essay question and providing comments for all 5 students, click the Save and Go to Next Page button. Grades and comments are not saved until you click this button. This is another good reason to configure display options for large courses to display 5 to 10 students per page, so your work is saved often. After grading all responses, let's return to the administration block and select Grades from under the Quiz Administration section. We can now see the grades we assigned for the essay question are now reflected in the grades report, and students' grades are calculated for the final exam. Let's go ahead and download the grades report as a backup. Now that all questions have been graded, students will be able to view their grade for the final exam in the gradebook and in the quiz activity. Remember that we configured review options for the final exam in video 1 to allow students to review points or grades after the quiz has closed on May 20th at 2 p.m. After all questions have been graded, let's take a look at the statistics page to view a statistical analysis of the quiz and individual quiz questions that is generated automatically in the CLE. We will continue to use the default setting and calculate statistics from students' highest grade attempt. We can also download the statistics report as an Excel file or other file types. The statistics report is organized in 3 sections: quiz information, quiz structure analysis, and statistics for question positions. Starting in the quiz information section, we can find information and statistics about the quiz as a whole. We see information such as the quiz name, the average and median grades, standard deviation of grades or how much variation there was in scores, and other statistics for the exam. Here's an explanation of the items in the quiz information section. Moving to the quiz structure analysis, we can view statistics that have been generated in the CLE for each individual question. Here is more information about each item in the quiz structure analysis section. If a question is highlighted in pink, it indicates that the question has a discriminative efficiency less than 15%, and you will want to take a look at revising this question. Notice that we can click on any question in this report and we can view statistics specific to the question, including what percentage of students selected each response. Returning to the statistics report, the last item we see on this page is statistics for question positions, or a graph showing the facility index and discriminative efficiency for every question in the quiz. As the instructor, this graph provides us with a visual indication of problematic questions in the quiz that we may want to look at revising. The facility index, or the parts highlighted in red, is the percentage of students who answered the question correctly. Higher values from 100 to 80% indicate the question was maybe too easy. Values from 20 to 5 indicate the question was difficult, and a value of 5 or less indicates that something may be wrong with the question and you should look at updating. The discriminative efficiency, or the sections shown in green, estimate how good the discrimination index is relative to the difficulty of the question. Lower and negative values indicates the question is not nearly as effective at discriminating between students of different abilities and therefore may not be a particularly good question. View our support center for more information and resources on quiz statistics. Congratulations! You have successfully graded the final exam in your CLE course. We have reviewed all 3 quiz reports and manually graded the essay question. Student grades for the final exam are reflected in the gradebook, and students can see their grades and review feedback now that the quiz has closed. Thank you for joining me today, and let us know how we can help with your upcoming CLE quiz. Have questions about this video? Contact LearningTech staff by email, Twitter, or visit our support center at learningtech.ucsf.edu.